Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie. Nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie, przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami, a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas, czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy i musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom, to jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.
Zrzeczenie się. Zawarte tutaj materiały informacyjne i edukacyjne mają na celu promowanie ogólnego zrozumienia i dialogu na temat przetwarzania materiału GANS. Takie informacje nie mają na celu zastąpienia szkolenia klinicznego, doświadczenia lub oceny lekarza. Dla pacjentów i innych osób takie informacje nie zastępują profesjonalnych porad medycznych, terapeutycznych lub zdrowotnych. Czytelnicy, widzowie, słuchacze powinni zawsze skonsultować się z lekarzem w przypadku problemów lub wątpliwości medycznych, w tym decyzji dotyczących leków i innych metod leczenia lub w poważnych przypadkach zwrócić się o natychmiastową pomoc do personelu ratunkowego. Informacje na temat recept, procedur oraz używania urządzeń medycznych powinny być podejmowane wyłącznie przez odpowiednio przeszkolony i certyfikowany personel medyczny. W szczególności zrzekamy się wszelkich gwarancji bezpośrednich lub domyślnych, w tym domyślnych gwarancji przydatności handlowej lub przydatności do określonego celu. Zawarte tutaj informacje są dostarczane takie, jakie są i uważa się, że są dokładne w momencie ich publikacji, ale to zdaniem widza jest ocena dokładności wszelkich informacji zawartych w tej prezentacji. Każdy przedstawiony przypadek bazuje na własnym doświadczeniu stosowania wyłącznie przez siebie oraz na sobie i tyczy się tylko i wyłącznie tego przypadku. Każda osoba mająca problemy zdrowotne powinna zasięgnąć profesjonalnej porady lekarskiej oraz skonsultować przebieg leczenia z lekarzem. Opisane tutaj procesy balansowania plazmą są naturalnymi procesami wspomagającymi organizm, ale nie zastępują porady lekarskiej czy terapii, z których już korzystacie.
Witamy wszystkich na 432 warsztatach poszukiwaczy wiedzy w języku polskim. Niedzielę 17 stycznia 2021 roku. A tematem jest kontynuacja 362 warsztatu. Tłumaczenie od godziny 30 do godziny 45, od godziny 54 do godziny 58. Od 2 godzin 7 minut do 2 godzin 15 minut, od 2 godzin 27 do 3:22 minut i ostatni fragment od 3 godzin 32 minut do 3 godzin 34 minut. Po warsztacie zapraszam do rozmów, zadawania pytań, na które postaramy się odpowiedzieć, a teraz zaczynamy oglądać i słuchać. Tak więc zapraszam.
Any other question?
Okay, Antonio says, Mr. Keshe, are we in this cosmic cycle of life going from involution to evolution, essentially coming full circle and going back to the source from where we have come?
We always go back to source. There is no exception. But at the same time, we always go through evolution.
Are some... Sorry, go ahead.
Because we continuously interact with different fields, with different strength of the fields of the universe. Evolution is part of our structure.
Is de-evolution also part of the structure in the sense that some beings are looking away from the source and some are looking toward the source?
In a way, you take position according to your conduct. Is it evolution to one or the evolution to the other? Any other question?
I'm not getting any hands up here. I'm assuming the function is working here. It is turned on, but I'm not
I think we scared too many people.
If they're scared, that's it. Oops, I got Salamia to put a hand up, so go ahead, Salamia.
Yes, I know that. Hello, everybody. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Nice to hear from you again. I know that you study black hole. I didn't have yet time to read the book concerning this subject. That's why I would like kindly to ask you, does the black hole has a sun inside and not a singularity, as some scientists say, and this sun inside the black hole creates another universe, and every galaxy has a sun inside and a black hole at the same time, or the sun transformed himself in a black hole when he became. I hope you understand myself. I don't know your position.
Yes.
That's why I asked you.
My position regarding the black hole is very clear and is well known in past 15, 20 years. As some of you who might not know, the very first paper I sent for publication in 2004 was getting written about this time, was completed in April of 2004, was submitted to Astronomical Journal Society in London for publication, which reversed the understanding of the black hole, which was promoted at that time falsely by Hawking, that he said the black hole are the center of absorbing everything, and then everything goes in, nothing comes out. And in this paper, I explain in very simple language that the black hole are the sources of the creation, that everything comes out of the black holes, and it's not what was said. And then the paper was tampered with, and then Mr. Hawking changed his idea in July, announcing, reading the paper, that he has changed his mind and the black holes are not the eating machine, he said. And further, the knowledge you all have now, you all hold the black hole in your hand. If you had a bowl of copper and you put it in a gas, you put it in the caustic, and you got a black ball out of it, or your black wire as you see it, if you cut it, you see in the center there is still copper. Then outside is black and absorbs all the energies, as we have seen and is tested by the British military, saying it's one of the best absorbing materials. It absorbs 99.9% of the fields. And but the black hole is exactly the same as this ball of copper which you nano-coated. It has a center. In the center is the essence of what it has created, that imbalance with the interaction of the fields of its position in the universe, it looks black. So is it the sun? Is it the copper? It all depends what has created that field, that's what we call material, which has led to the creation of the galaxy or the universe. In a condition of the central points of the galaxies, we can literally say what most of the stars, solar systems in the galaxy are, by understanding the behavior of the absorption and radiation of the black hole. Because they are the controller, they receive all and they give all. But they receive in such a way that they give to the galaxy environment, but at the same time they have a connection line with the center of a black hole of the universe. The same as the central black hole of the universe has a connection with the creator, with understanding of the structure of the universe. And so when we speak about what's inside the black hole, did you make the ball, the black ball from the copper, the zinc ball, or another material? And is it shiny? If you have managed to create a dynamic ball from the ganses that manifests itself as black, then yes, in that case you have. But in essence, it's from the interaction of the fields. When you don't understand this, you can fantasize. Now, with the knowledge you have, you don't need to fantasize. You can create it and check it.
I see. That you mean that in our guns we create a black hole, which is a soul of
no, no. If you take a ball and you put it in the caustic and create a black ball, which is nano-coated magnetic field, as you say, black hole absorbs everything, these balls do the same, then you will understand that's what it does. It depends what it's made of and how it creates a layer of absorption or dimension of physicality in respect to the source it has created and the environment it's in. You can create the same black hole using ganses, not the matter state. You can interact or create two fields that in superimposing each other, the balance field is absorbing everything except black color. And then would it become a black hole?
So first I read an article of my professor Ion Koja from Romania, and he was in my PhD commission, and I find it and I trust him, and I said, okay, I have to ask Mr. Keshe about this. And I have also this feeling that if we research the black hole, we find solution also for how do you call entropy, to reverse the process of entropy, and maybe we become immortal. I don't know. Maybe it's only my fantasy, but I had these feelings. I don't know how comes.
If you absorb enough energies of a specific end strength, you cannot reverse the aging, but you can create a condition that the cells stay constantly near enough to their full strength. So it's very easy to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have the machines and systems which are getting produced. We can literally understand the field strength of most of the materials through their plasma condition.
That's why plasma can balance our fields and can restore our cells using, no?
Yes, it can, but it depends what you want from it. We taught today how to extend your soul and the soul of physicality to become invisible.
Mm-hmm.
So if you understood that, the rest should be easy.
Yes. I think that if we will go inside a black hole, we'll become invisible for other people. Maybe it's the same. And black hole is like a soul. Is the soul of everything. No? Our soul is principal matter. Is there any link between our soul and the black hole?
In the strength, yes.
Yes.
And in collection of strengths, yeah.
I see. That this is connected with the soul of the creator.
In a long way, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you believe that this black hole creates other universes?
A black hole is the source of fields, more of the same, radiation of the same.
Yeah.
And the black hole is like if you have a black hole in a galaxy, and in that galaxy there are 100 million stars or solar systems. So that black hole capability is to produce so much and more to be able to sustain them. The strength of a solar system does not come through anything but the central black hole strength and its interaction with this environment. So, as I said, what's in the pot will come in the ladle. What is within the structure of the black hole will appear in time as a matter state or field state within the structure of that solar system.
It's a recycling machinery of all kind of matter of the universe, principal matter and all kinds of matter, including plasma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So my feeling was okay, because I had this feeling before knowing you. That's why I was attracted by your fields to get the answer of my needs. Thank you again. I am very happy because I met such a knowledgeable person, which is inspired by the fields of creator and also by his wish and work, hard work. God bless you, Mr. Keshe. All the best.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Or do you want to go to a break?
Okay, well, we can go back to questions here. We have a question on the live stream from Freed, who says, Dear Mr. Keshe, does what you teach or share bring collective conscious evolution? So whoever listens and is open to your knowledge is contributing to a new field which is spreading now?
In a way, when you teach, you do that. It's part of the process of the teaching. As you teach, you share knowledge, and in that process, you come to be part of that knowledge to teach to more people, and that becomes part of the collective teaching.
Antonio had a question referring back to his previous question, I believe, about the involutionary and evolutionary forces. So he says, so the involutionary forces is what holds us back. I'm not sure if that...
What does that mean?
I'm not sure if that makes sense. Well, we talked about the evolutionary forces, and then forces which are against those evolutionary forces, which I think he means involutionary forces. Is that what holds us back? I don't know, you would have to explain better, perhaps, what he means by that. Let's go on to Ed's question, who says, I've spoken to people who practice what they call astral traveling. Some of them have spoken of a boundary they encounter that they cannot go beyond. Is this the field strength of a certain level they have not developed to interact with?
Pardon?
He says, I've spoken to people who practice what they call astral traveling. Some of them have spoken of a boundary they encounter that they cannot go beyond. Is this the field strength of a certain level that they have not developed to interact with?
It is depending on the strength of the soul, what it can do and where it can go and what it can achieve. Is that what we sell? The soul, we said before, the soul of the man is on his departure from the physicality, has a limit he can go according to the strength he has achieved in where it could be.
We have a question from 2A. He says, blessings for the answering my previous questions. I was wondering, now that we are graduating from the high school of Earth, will there be another class after us, after we leave or after we have left? Or is this school closing and are we all individually going to open schools from now on? And has there ever been a graduation? I guess from the school, high school of Earth.
Yeah, when you leave the earth here, you are graduated, but however, that condition you leave the earth. If you study, the graduation is a point of departure from the physicality.
Many of us who graduate from high school, it's also a time when we leave the family and go out on our own to conquer the world or whatever we think we're going to do when we're young. To measure the strength of the soul.
What do you mean exactly?
Well, if we could figure out a way to measure objective, impartial, unconditional love that which we know is part of the soul condition, would that not be a way that we can measure the fields of, or the strength of a soul, perhaps, if we had that kind of device?
In a way we could, but you have to always consider all incoming and outgoings. Is not a magnet in one direction. A sphere magnetic field of a sphere is totally different than what we call the standard rectangular or square magnet you use. That's why we see different strengths in different lines of this planet. It's not all going out of the North Pole and coming in from the South Pole. It goes and comes in from every position on this planet. There's the pictures we see that all the fields go up the North Pole is
Idealized, you could say.
Idealized in a way, yeah. But the actual fields of this planet, according to its rotation, are actually bending down towards the central equator from the top, and that flow of the field in conjunction with the magma flow underneath, creates deserts. It's not that deserts are just happening. If you look at the line of the deserts on this planet, is very much in line with the inclination angle of the planet and the magnetic field flow of the planet.
But when we're talking about the field strength of the soul, we wouldn't be able to measure that with magnetic instruments, would we?
No, not really, no. We need plasma systems, understand gravity, both going and coming in. At the moment when we measure a magnetic field is one way, one direction. But in a sphere is literally in three directions. As I said in the other teaching, is a vortex spherical. It's not a vector or one line. And in a process, it changes in the strength and everything else.
Should we be looking more toward the micro world or the macro world to make such measurements of the strength of the soul?
Depends on which side.
Could you explain that a little more? On which side?
Are you on the magnetical side or are you on the gravitational side?
Oh, I got what you
Which
said.
one are we measuring?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any other attendees that would like to ask a question?
It'll
Yeah,
be interesting. You have a question? Go on.
Well, one from YouTube, from Eduarda, who says, "Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Is the process of individuation described by Carl Gustav Jung equivalent or similar to the process of totality that you speak of?"
I don't know who it is, what he said.
Yeah, I thought that might happen.
As you know, I'm very, very ignorant about this. I don't read.
Well, you read the books of the universe, and sometimes they don't deal with local time quite so well. Let me see. There was a question earlier. Can you explain more about the 6-cup system?
We always announce there are more cups to come. And the 6th cup, which we introduced today, is a cup of the soul of the universe, what you call the universe or galaxy. Either way you can choose. And you decide, it's a positioning of the place and time. In the strength, you can position yourself, how you will look or how you will be, in which star you will land, in which part of the universe you will land, depending on what you choose. These are the knowledges that the man needs, is within his soul, and it's literally database which is gathered by universal community over billions of years from the time of inception, and it's as part of the knowledge of the Creator, and we all have access to it. It's just that we have to find out how. There's no use landing on planet Zeus, where you don't know what you do and what your response will be, what your aim is, because you still carry the consciousness of the man at a position in space and time.
Okay, we have a question from Miss May in the YouTube. We have aura field photographing available. Is that the same as plasma reading? Could we use this to see the fields?
Not really. Aura again is in the matter state condition, the machines we have which you see. It's a big difference in the soul and in the field strength of the matter of the interaction of the environment with the soul of physicality. The aura is partially the interaction of the fields of the soul of the man, and partially the interaction of the fields of the physicality of the man's magnetic fields, and partially the interaction with the physical, what we call the soul of the physicality. It's a combination, or what we see is a residual of many things. And when you look at the aura, which direction the aura is traveling. Is it inwards or outwards? Is it the aura of your gravitational field or your magnetic field?
Yes, we've got a couple more here. One that came from the Italian group, apparently from Stefania in the Q&A, who says, we measure the soul with the light strength that emanates or the attraction of the fields?
Depends on both. But it creates attraction of the fields, in the interaction with the fields of the soul creates the light. But that light could be different meaning to you than me. What is inside it that it creates it, what information it gives to it counts, not in what light we see.
I have a question from Gunther. When we learn and become invisible, can we change others, like people or animals, to become invisible? For example, to protect another person or animal in front of an accident?
In occasions you can, but I hope you know what you're doing. You don't want to find yourself on the back of a saddle of a horse you try to save.
There was a question from Ruthie in the chat regarding is there a use for the ceramic cups that are made by adding the 1 cup, 1 life GANs? Can they be used for prevention of illness?
Hasn't been tested, but it's quite possible. At the moment, in that level, we have to test and to understand how much it will be released and to what conditions.
Okay, we have a couple more hands up here from Antonio. Go ahead, Antonio.
Good day, Mr. Keshe from Australia. You're talking about disappearing. That makes sense because this lady, an amazing Russian lady, Helena Blavatsky, she spoke about they were in a horse and carriage and come to an intersection, and they were ready to have an accident, and they merged through each other and came out the other end. And I'm just wondering, is that similar to what you're speaking about, where Helena, through her soul, and she was quite an involved lady, made this, or perhaps or her mentor made it happen?
What do you mean?
They should have had an accident and they passed through each other.
And they didn't touch each other.
No, that's the story. And I thought that's similar to what you're saying, you know? So that was my observation from what you've been saying.
Maybe in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe in a way.
Yeah.
It's understanding the knowledge which gives the opportunity to analyze it according to the what everything included.
What you've been saying makes sense to me, because a lot of the ancient knowledge and the saints of old speak about a lot of the things that you mentioned, and thinking themselves, say to England and back, just by thought. So if they can do it, then we have the potential to do the same. But
we tend to do it in the position of suffering. We can do it. We know people who are capable to do this, but we don't need to do it in the point of suffering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you mean something like a mother feeling her child on the other side of the planet that got in an accident or something like that?
It's different ways. There are people in the point of suffering, regular, prolonged suffering, they do. Because the field of physicality, their field of physicality becomes so weak on the strength that the soul can transmute the strength of the field of the inertia of the soul. This is possible.
So even Mr. Keshe, even my father had an experience when he was in the war, and he was in jail, locked for 3 months, and 1 meal every 3 days. And he had a conversation with his sister, and when he came out of jail, she recalled the conversation word for word, but they were 200 kilometers away from each other. She was not there. So under the stress or whatever it was that he went through, telepathy or something, communication happened between them. And I thought that was pretty amazing.
We have met a lady who used to do this, not to stand the views. And every time she went to the same place, and people in that place always confirmed she was there while she was somewhere else physically.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard many stories. Yeah.
No, I met this woman, and her explanation is very simple, understood. Me too. In a position of the strength, we always take the overwhelming power of the physicality. In a position of the weakness, we take the position of the soul. This has never been understood by man. That's why in that point we go so low that we go below the parameters of the solar physicality. It's not that always we extend ourselves to overcome the fields of the emotion of the man. You can go in negative emotion of the soul that has no, there's no control by the flow of the blood, which creates the engagement of the soul. Is, as we say, it's below radar. And then through it, you link and manifest. You don't go by the strength side, you go by the weaker side, but through the weakness of the, what we call magnetical field of strength. There is a big difference, and you can do that. Many people do. As I said in the teaching last week, in a physical dimension, we always have tried to have the best and everything else. And in the dimension of soul, we try to be the humble as possible. And you can do. People in time of pain. I've said this about the woman while she was young, she trained this not to feel the pain. When she was getting abused regularly as a child of 7 or 8. And she made it to a habit.
Even myself, Mr. Keshe, I have this interesting phenomena in my home. It's called a cross of light. And I was asking a good friend in London whether it was something special or not. And he goes he goes to me, are you looking at it? And I said, yeah. Well, he said, keep looking at it, which was a strange request from someone in London. But in that moment, it was as if someone was looking through my eye, and it was a spark of light on the piece of glass. And then he replied, yes, there was an energized image, which was one of these phenomena done by these great spiritual teachers. So I don't know if you ever heard of that one. It's these crosses that are appearing in mainly poor families' homes around the world. I suppose it's a subtle message that we need to take care of those in need, and these amazing even-sided crosses with a diamond haze is appearing on people's windows. It's actually found in water. that same image. So I found it very interesting that I'm blessed to have one of them in my own home, but just the experience of how do these people see clairvoyant, sort of clairvoyant in a way, traveling through their soul. How do they do that? That's still beyond me. And, you know, perhaps one day I'll be able to do what you're actually expressing we can actually do. I thought maybe we have to be a bit more aware. You know, we're at different levels, and like you said, maybe become more humble.
In the process of understanding, we strive to understand according to our intelligence and what we accept and what we believe in. And many of us don't accept things or cannot cross the line because of the dogma of the teaching we had as previously in our younger age, or by impression by our families or friends or whatever. So we all have the possibility and the capability to do anything. The only limitation is our own understanding of our own condition.
The problem that I see, Mr. Keshe, is like you said, from our conditioning from the very cradle, we're taught to believe this or that, and so having an open mind is a very rare thing because of that.
We extend our knowledge according to what we can accept. And what cannot be understood and accepted, we can understand it, but doesn't mean we can accept it. That acceptance is the extension of the knowledge, is elevation. And many people read, understand, but cannot accept because they already committed themselves to another dimension or another order. And this is what we see with many people in this condition. All of us have the capability and the ability to do everything. It's just that what we believe in and what we can accept becomes the limitation of achieving.
So that belief is like a prison. It creates a prison around an idea, and we have to drop everything we think we know, and everything
we don't need to drop. We don't need to drop. Is the dropping? Is there something wrong with it? Is adding to, in addition to what we have. And it's the same for the soul and for the physicality. For those of you who come to understand the work of the soul and be within work of it, you'll see the limitation of the soul. And then you need to go back to a lot of teachings and listen or understand the soul of the knowledge, and you'll find a solution in it. It's not that once you find the freedom of the soul and your soul, that's it. You are completed. No, because the souls have their own dimension of physicality and dimension of restriction. It's an old saying, now it's the winter time and the snow's winning around. You say the bigger roof, the more snow you need to plow. So the larger the knowledge becomes, the more we need to understand. We need more room to understand.
So the more knowledge, more responsibility, I would say.
More rooms to dust if you were a cleaner.
More streets of knowledge to sweep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a few years ago, they brought a special machine in Paris to collect dog poop. And it's a small machine, could go everywhere because the French have too many dogs in Paris. And people got the job and they sat on these machines. And they were, as they were cleaning and passing, some parents made a comment to children, you see, if you don't study, become one of those. And these they stopped. They resigned. We don't want to be in this position, to be compared with as a failure. At the end of it, they found out the best way is to give a headphone to these people that they cannot hear the truth while they're doing their work. It's the truth is how we envisage our own knowledge and how humble we are or how arrogant we are about it. The knowledge of the man is a collection of what he sees during his life. And nowadays, what papers and what he reads as books, then he becomes a wise man to it, and maybe he had something of him to it, and then he thinks he's the creator of it. If you could have the knowledge I have of the creation, you could stay humble to teach the way I do, maybe you reach the level of the Creator's understanding of the creation. Maybe. Still teach with absolute humbleness and still live on the same level. And then you understand the true meaning of the living in the life of the Creator. And then you still live with the dimension of physicality.
As I was saying, Mr. Keshe, we're all at different levels, and I suppose in some ways you would have to, if you're only on level 1, it's hard to jump to level 5. You have to go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, then you can get to 5, you know. So we have to be humble to understand at the level that we understand, and you know, try to better ourselves in each life.
It doesn't take much to jump from 1 to 5, but it needs a lot of courage to understand I'm at level 1. Then I need to get to number 5. This is most of the problem with people or the cycle of life.
Yeah. It sounds, I mean, time is irrelevant in the sense that if it takes a long time to achieve an enlightenment of some sort, or to a degree of enlightenment, but it's a process of learning, really, isn't it? You have to experience.
Enlightenment doesn't need time.
No time.
Enlightenment needs the position of maturity of understanding.
Uh-huh.
And Jesus, Moses, or Muhammad, or whoever, they never went to school. Some of them can't even read and write.
But they would have been, say, you know, say, for example, I'm at the level 1, they would have been a 4 or 5, you know, they would have
We
been.
never know. Maybe they're still at level 1, but then understood the truth in a different way and they could explain it. This is what I was explaining very recently to one of the knowledge seekers. That if you look at the structure of the Islamic religion, how Muhammad came to become a prophet and his claim, is this claim any different than how Moses did? Where did Muhammad go to get the message?
I don't know. It was an inner voice, I suppose.
Yeah, but where did he go? Do we have any of the Muslim Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers who can tell us? How did Muhammad receive his message?
Would I dare say it might have been the Christ?
Jalal? Are you in the background? Open the Wikipedia, please. And tell us how did, because if we say we said so, but it's written. How did Muhammad receive the message?
Okay, just getting that set up here, Mr. Keshe.
There is a process, Mr. Keshe, called overshadowing, sort of, in a way, telepathy, I would say, but it's like you're hearing someone's voice. It's not channeling. This is different, completely different to that. This is a mind to mind, heart to heart, direct, as if I'm speaking, you know, out loud. That would seem to anyone that God was speaking to them, but maybe it wasn't. It could have been anybody. It could have been Jesus. It could have been.
No, but what I'm asking is, how did they get the message?
Okay, it mentions here that at the age of 40 in 610 CE, Muhammad is said to have received his first verbal revelation in the cave called Hira. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
And Hira, we can have a look at that if you like.
We don't see the page.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was sharing it there. So this was the entry in Wikipedia on Muhammad, and it mentions, here it is, at the age of 40, he's said to have received his first verbal revelation in the cave called Hira. I click on Hira, and it is essentially a mountain.
Yeah.
And that, of course, with Moses and the mountain is a similar theme. It's called the Mountain of Light, actually.
Yep,
It's a
because that's where you receive the knowledge.
It says through the angel Gabriel.
In what form?
Well, it says he is said to have received his first revelation from God, Arabic Allah, through the angel Gabriel.
How did Moses receive it? Again in the mountain.
Was there an angel involved, or was it a direct transfer?
And they talk about the fire and a tree and whatever.
The angels are men and women who've gone ahead of us in evolution, just like ourselves, but they become angels or saints of old, or masters of wisdom. These are, and if people imagine them with wings, then they see it that way. Doesn't mean they have wings, but
You see, the enlightenment is a very strange cycle. Why age of 40? We see the same with other prophets.
Isn't that when Jesus went into the desert when he was, or was that before he was 40?
no, he was crucified at 33.
Well, 33. You know, he never got to 40.
Right. Never made it to 40.
But it sounds like even Jesus was aware and was teaching in the mosque, or what do they call the church there in Israel?
Synagogues.
Synagogues at the age of 12. So, he was fully aware. Even at that age, he knew his purpose. So he must have, and people around him, the three wise men that come from Iran, they knew that he was something special,
But what happened to Moses? And what happened to Buddha? How old was Buddha when he became Buddha? Our Chinese team in the background, we have one of the learned Buddhists amongst us. Manglin, you are a Buddhist master.
Yes, if you don't, I think it could be 40. And yeah. And it's after he had the teaching for 49 years. I think it's 40.
Where did he get this message? In the mountain?
It's under a tree. We call it
but where?
Tree in India.
I know. Was he in the mountain or was he where? In the city?
Of course, it's a mountain. It's a mountain, and right now there is it's a temple. Even the tree is still there, and people try to saving the tree and protect the tree. The tree is being prayed by many people.
So he was 42.
40 or 42. Let me ask.
40 years. Yeah, you got
Let me,
a lot of
yeah,
Can you check Rick in the background?
I check it.
You're a Buddhist monk.
Charles said it's 35.
Is it true, Lynn, that the Buddha said a Buddha like himself would come at this time, which is around about now, and his personal name would be Maitreya Buddha? Is that his teacher?
Wang Lin?
You are talking about Messiah Buddha, right? Sorry, can you repeat your question?
Yeah, the Buddha said a Buddha would like himself would appear at this time, and his personal name would be Maitreya Buddha.
Oh, yes.
So Maitreya, Gautama Buddha's teacher.
Actually, in the Buddha's teaching, they said like Shakyamuni Buddha is the fourth Buddha, and who in earth have became a Buddha. And then the next Buddha is Messiah Buddha. In Chinese, we call it Mi Le. But actually we translated it's called Messiah Buddha.
What is the condition of his appearance? Or when?
When? No, they didn't tell the exact time actually. So, but very strange thing is like maybe 10 years ago, I was like reading all the book, all the teaching, from the monk told me like, oh, the Buddha is next Buddha, but could be like many times, like years, many years later or whatever. But more and more I feel it's the time is now. More and more I feel this is the time. But anyway, it's like I'm later on I'm more jumping out of the religion, but I just learned the essence of that, because I had that feeling like something in the teaching is also confusing. So you cannot be like give like believing everything. You have to be independent to think something is correct or something is not correct, or maybe it's just misleading.
Lynn, some people think that he's come to save us, but in a way, but I think it's more to inspire humanity to take the right direction. I don't think the Buddha would do it, make the world a better place himself. We have to do it. We have to act. So these great teachers like the Buddha, Maitreya Buddha, we are blessed to have somebody like that if he is in the world, which I believe he is. Maybe we will see him soon, but people can run after him, but that's not what he's about. If you try to put him in your pocket, you will lose him. You have to understand.
But I have that feeling. Another feeling is like, actually, we can have many Messiah Buddha here, and even everybody can become a Messiah Buddha. Because now I'm more believing that, like, if somebody teach you to like worship somebody as a Buddha, I don't believe that kind of teaching now. But if somebody to teach you to become a Buddha, to find your inner Buddha inside you, and then I believe that is the real teaching.
Yes, I agree.
So we come back to your question.
Which question was that? My question, was it, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, and what you raised, not the question, but the point you raised and what I asked. That why most of the prophets say things in the mountains.
I think it's a place that's more sacred, away from, influence. The mountains, even in India, there's a sacred place there where they have a festival called the Wesak Festival in a secret mountain place, and people gather there, so it always seems to be mountains. Yeah, I don't know why, but
Stefania mentions in the Q&A, are the mountains the antenna for the soul of the earth?
Is less interruption.
here in Australia, we have Uluru as a big rock in the centre of Australia. It seems to be very significant to the Indigenous people here. I've been there.
That's a rock.
It's a rock, yeah. But it's like a small mountain. In Australia, we don't have much mountains. That's
too
a mountain. Yeah.
You can stand on one end of the continent and you can see the other end. It's like Holland, huh?
Yes, yeah.
So, Mr. Keshe, you just mentioned something that the mountain is more like an interruption to the soul of the earth, so that perhaps we can connect easier with the soul of the universe.
Book number 2 and 3 were written in the mountain. Book number 4 too. The essence of understanding at these positions, you find solitude. And solitude brings wisdom. But on the other hand, revelations come in a position of in a time of solitude. Even you could be amongst millions of people. What is interesting, those of you who believe in path of Mitra, you'll find out Mitra always appeared in the mountains. And we see the structure is that way.
Mr. Keshe, Mitra, MTR, Maitreya, MTR. Then there's another one, Metatron, MTR. Would there be a connection?
Well, you can change it in any shape you like. But in Persian language we know is in Mitra, and is the first message, original. And we see many people have followed the same path. But you got to understand, it's the same soul. Essence, in essence, the soul of the messengers of the God is the same soul. No other. It's just appeared in different time, position, and flock. And as I explained in other teachings, Mitra is Eve, is created out of the embodiment of the Creator. And as is in the mythology of the universe, Mitra came to Earth and fell in love with the planet. And he chose as a place where he saw the beauty and asked the Creator to join him, to see the beauty of what his creation can do, except her beauty. And in so many ways, Mitra, as we call it, then the word of Adam and Eve came, where Mitra is the Eve, and Adam is the Creator. Mankind, now that he opens up into the wisdom of the universe, will see what are called the history of the creation of this planet. This is why, as you go to holy places and live with respect, those who come to earth, this is their holy ground for many who come to visit. They don't come to worship, they come to visit, as the time of Mitra to now is the second time in a matter of seconds, not as we call it tens of thousands of years. And in so many ways, the earth is a beautiful place, and its beauty is captured, and with it, as there were living entities, the wisdom of the Creator was taught to them. And this word of Adam and Eve and everything else which has come after it is from that point. And in time, many of you will come to understand. And in so many ways, she appeared amongst the knowledgeable, as she enjoyed not only the beauty, but the knowledge they could understand her.
So the mythologies, a lot of it is based on truth of some sort. In particular, the one with Hercules and the 9-headed Hydra. That's an amazing story, but it gives where, I don't know do you know that one, Mr. Keshe?
Nope.
Hercules, the trials of Hercules, and he had to, as one of his tests, to go down into a cave, a dark cave, and destroy this monster, the 9-headed Hydra. But he went down there because he was very courageous and strong. He went down there and he started to chop the head of the Hydra. But every time he chopped the head, another one would grow. And then he got to the point where he was tired. He couldn't you know, it overwhelmed him emotionally. And then he had an intuitive thought, and he grabbed the monster and took it up into the light of the soul. And all the heads disappeared except for one, and he chopped that off and put it under a rock. And that was control of the emotional fear, control of the emotional body. It's, I mean, people interpret that in many different ways, but to me, that's the trial of overcoming fear, the emotional. You like that story?
There are many like this. The structure of life on this planet is no different than the rest. There's just one breed has reached the point of maturity of communication and collective living as the others do, but has managed to colonize and has managed to outrank the others, and we call it the human. And this process is not unique, and is not only on this planet. Life takes shape in any dimension, direction in the universe. It's just that most of the lives are created from the interaction of the fields in a random way, but in an orderly manner. And on Earth and in some other places is created by choice up to energy fields. So the creation of the soul on this planet has more repetition, continuity. It's like you get the nursery which creates a specific kind of roses, specific color, specific structure. And Earth is one of those. It's a nursery of beautiful souls, and with a little bit of what I call need for adjustment. Any other question?
Yes, good day, Mr. Keshe. This is Gatwa.
Good afternoon. Good day, Dr. Gato.
Yeah, I thank you very much for your continued teaching, humble teachings that connects most of our dots. We are beginning to connect dots. Now, I want to go back to questions I had last week. Two questions, one about smell, the other one about division of plasmas, neutrons, protons, and electrons. So let me start with the smell. When the crystal structure of carbon in CO2 eliminates smell, which also manifests as a crystal, does the cause of that smell also, is that cause also eliminated?
What you mean?
In other words, so something causes smell, for example. So you want to get rid of that and use CO2,
Yeah.
Liquid plasma.
Yeah.
So the smell disappears. But how
Yep.
about the cause of that smell?
Not really, because that cause still produces. Unless you can cascade it, or you can extract the field of strength which creates that crystal structure.
So, for example, in drying of fruits, which I have done, drying of fruits to make cattle feed, I have noticed that they dry without going bad after using the liquid plasma. Would that mean not only are the crystals of the smell removed, but also the condition that created the smell in the first place, which is rotting, which may have been caused by bacteria, is also cleansed?
If you use a CO2 or CO, you create the condition of the transfer, and you create like a disinfectant. That's why the smell goes. You destructure the plasmatic structure.
Okay.
And this is, that's the reason.
Okay, the structure of the smell itself or the cause, or both?
It can be both, depends how it's structured.
Okay, thank you very much. Now back to division of plasmas. Excess of neutrons lead to radiation, which is the division of plasma from neutrons to the twins, protons and electrons. And because creation is the same all over the universe, that is to say, what is in the micro is also in the macro. So in creation of the earth, there must have been the twins. So the earth may be one of the twins. Do we know the neutron that created the twins?
The original was the creator. And by part of the creator to be given to create Eve, now you have the creator and created. And collectively, when you put the Eve with Adam, you achieve the totality of the creator as one without condition of emotion, as you call it. Creates to give. There is a philosophy in a position that by creating the Eve, God created the universe. Because it had a point that it could transfer it could give its position dimension of its love. So either way is the creator with or a creator plus.
I'm not very sure that I understand in case of Earth, for example, where the twins, the proton and electron. So
Yeah.
is the Earth the electron? And if so, where is the proton?
Eve is an electron. But in essence, now you have the Adam as one. There is no Eve. When you take part of the Adam and you create another creation from it as part of, then you have created two out of one. But in essence, if you put the second one back, it'll be complete. But in the process of creation, in dimension of expansion of the fields, you'll find out that in trying to give from one to another, the universe is created. In a way, the expansion of the universe comes from the creation of the Eve. In Creator trying to reach, to spread, to give, the love to bring, in a way to nourish, for Eve to become the same as Adam, or equal. This is what we say. The God created the universe out of his love. Because as, let's say, put it this way, if you stand in one side of the room and somebody else on the other side, and the extent of it you can throw a ball is how far the other one can reach to catch. Otherwise, there's no use throwing a ball. And this giving one to the other, spreading to give the love to Eve, has created the expansion of the universe, if you can understand it in that way. And the fields within, which leads to the creation of unicos. But in essence, we talk about Adam and Eve, or creation of electron and proton, is on and in respect to its combination of environment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. I'll have to listen to that over a few times to really get your answer. But I thank you very much for the explanation. And now my final question is about peace in global peace. You have any comments given what is happening in the world right now? Thank you very much.
We are observing at this moment. We are observing how the human race will react to the present situation. And globally, no government can bring soldiers together to fight because of the corona. And governments in trying to do are at the peril themselves. So we'll see extension to the science and technology. What we saw in the 80s, 70s and 60s with the East and West endeavoring to develop the technology on the edge of science that could be the better for them compared to the other. But this time the technology will be shared as equal with everybody else. So we are in a better position, and especially Corona, as long as it lasts, it forces to keep peace, because governments cannot handle armies, and the armies will catch it and the rest of it. But on the other hand, it's a stepping stone towards unification of mankind. Any other question?
Yes, well, everybody has their own perspective, I guess.
Yes. Anyway, thank you very much for today. I think the first part of this teaching today, it's important for all the knowledge seekers to understand and evolve in the direction of that we understand the totality of the process of the creation. And in being able to manifest ourselves in the position and time and space where we desire. And maybe we for the first time get a chance to live that elusive, not everlasting, but a life, at least, not a short-term demise, a long-term that we can serve. The purpose of life should not be just to live longer, but in living longer, how you can serve the rest of the souls that they elevate from their position and stand. It's not a sacrifice, it's a service. thank you very much for today. And hopefully we meet next week. And gradually we're building to what we call 7-year completion of the teaching. We're on 362. And in a way, we have another more or less 12 weeks or so, around that time, to pass our 7 years into the 8th year. Thank you very much for all the time, and we'll see what comes up next week.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Keshe, once again for another Knowledge Seekers Workshop, the 362nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, January 7th, 2020.
Dziękuję za wysłuchanie i za obejrzenie. To jest koniec tego warsztatu 362. Jeśli ktoś chciałby zabrać głos, to zapraszam serdecznie lub zadać pytanie. Jeśli nie ma pytań i nie ma wypowiedzi, to na dzisiaj skończymy. Spotykamy się w czwartek o 21:00. Tak więc dziękuję za przetłumaczenie, życzę dobrej nocy i do usłyszenia.
Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie, nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie, przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas, czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy i musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom. To jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.